Hey everyone, it's Jan with What You Make It, and I am loving this trending technique of using inlaid die cuts. You know, I love when there is something else we can do with tools we already have. And so today I'm going to show you how I created these two inlaid die cuts, but created texture with them, either visual texture or actual physical texture. I think that's a really great way to step it up. Now, for these cards today, I'm going to use this memory box alphabet die set. I believe it's called Large Parker. And I got to go into my cardstock scrap stash, so that's a bonus for doing things like this. You want to use a die that has some substance to it, probably not something as small as like this little U die. If we're going to be adding some texture to it, it needs to have a little bit of space for you to add that texture in. Let me go over a few of the tools and supplies I'm going to use to finish this card. I've already pre-cut the DAD letters out of some of my scraps, but I'm also going to be using a texture plate. If you don't have a texture plate, you could totally use like an embossing folder. I've got some washi tape that I'm going to use both to help me do the texturizing and as part of my design later. I've kind of pulled some that match my colors. Now I am using this star spangled or star-studded texture plate from Paper Tray Ink. What I'm really wanting is something that has a small scale pattern on it, particularly because I'm using these letters that are not particularly wide and thick to be able to show a lot of pattern. And this is probably as good if I'm using an alphabet die that I'm going to get for something like this. But if you're using something like a label or maybe a larger solid shape, you wouldn't have to have as small a scale as I'm doing. Now what I'm doing here is I'm using the washi tape to hold it in place because I wanted those stars to be in a particular place, and I put it on my hand to make it a little less tacky. Now here's the stamp that I want to use. I'm taking out that center word there that says best dad ever. I'm going to use the die cuts as that location, but I want to allow for space above and below. And I'm using my T ruler and a pencil just to kind of mark where I want the bottom of this die cut to be. Now I'm going to go over to my Tim Holtz ruler because it has that centering side of it where there is 0 at the center and you can make sure that you've got it evenly divided. It's a great tool to use in order to center things on a design. And again, I'm using some of that washi tape. You want to get as much stickiness off of it because when you put it through the pressure of your die cutting machine, it actually kind of embeds itself in the paper and makes it a little hard to get off. So the first thing I'm going to do now that I've run everything through for texture and for die cutting, I want to take a white eraser and remove my pencil, and want to very carefully peel. You can see here, even though it was totally not sticky, you have to be really, really careful getting that tape off. But it's great. And for this design, I want to take off a little bit of that edge because I want to put a kind of jagged edge. And I am using these, I think it's called knockouts, where you get one of the little punching device, but then you've got all these cartridges. They're great. I love them, and I like this kind of oversized zigzag or pinked edge. And I started doing it, and then I realized, oh, I want it to come up a little bit farther. I wanted it to be at least 3/4 of an inch off. So I actually go and trimmed it down and then came back and punched it so that there would be a little extra space. And I have cut a kind of a backer card that is about 1/8 of an inch shorter than the front of the card because when we fold it and put it behind it, you want there to be a little bit of room. So I'm going to add some of these washi tapes down at the bottom and little stripes down there. And I'm just taking 3 different patterns that kind of match the colors that I'm using on the die cuts. I don't know about you, but I have a large supply of of washi tape, and I just need to keep finding ways to use it because I love it, but I just have so much of it that I need to be intentional about using it. So I put that down at the bottom, trimmed it off, and I think that's going to add just another little bright flash of color. But of course, here's my other idea. How cool would that have been to put that behind there? So many ideas that you can do with this same basic design. So I'm going to do a little stamping and embossing, and I'm going to do some selective stamping. So I want to put some washi tape down over the part that I do not want to ink, because all I want right now is the word best. So I inked that up. I used my anti-static bag and did my stamping, and now I'm going to put my embossing powder on it. And everybody's different, but I tend to want to do my embossing kind of a section at a time. I find that if I go ahead, do it, heat it, I do a lot better. So now I'm going to go get the bottom part of that sentiment, the word ever, end of story, is the part that I'm going to do down there, and I'm just going to center it under the A. Just kind of a fun, I like how this is kind of a graphic design. You all know me. I usually am going more for a shabby chic or kind of vintage look, but this is just a fun way to do something outside my normal style, and I had a blast doing it. So now we want to go ahead, and I'm using my ATG gun because I really want to hold this in place. Now, on the next one that I did, I learned that I should have put some glue around those letters to hold them really tight down to that backer. Wish I had done it, didn't, but I learned for the second time, and I'm using my two-way glue pen, and I'm actually putting it all over the center. And here's the thing, be really careful. I don't know if you see up there, I got a little glue up on the card front up there by Best, and I couldn't get it to wash off. So, even though I don't show it while I'm doing it, it was bugging me. And so before I took pictures, I went ahead and put some little sequins on there to cover that up. So here are the two cards that I ended up making. This one, I used some glitter paper that was already textured, and the color of it was platinum, and I used some liquid platinum embossing powder by Ranger. It matched really well. And then on the wood veneer, I just add a little wink of Stella, and it gives really nice texture to the whole thing. And I love how simple it is. It's same tools and totally different bright card. You see my little wood veneer stars in my wood grain sequins that I use to cover up my glue, but that's what we do. How cool are these little stars, the textures in there? I love the look of these inlaid die cuts. Easy peasy, fun technique. I want you to try it for yourself. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me today. Please follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll be back with another video real soon. And in the meantime, please be sure and save some time for creative play. I'll see you soon. Bye.